All right, so episode 2.
Episode 2 is here.
It is.
Branded, or as they say in Spanish, marca. Welcome.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So today, we little change of pace, right? We had a designer the first episode. Oh, let me introduce myself. I feel like I'm being rude. Pardon me. I feel like you're just in my living room and we're talking. My name is Ronald.
My name is Donte.
This is Branded,
the podcast.
But yeah, episode 2 covers a great singer and friend of mine, Beya Likhari. Super amazing. She just had some appearances that we're going to talk about during the quiz. I hate giving stuff away in the intro. I like for it to unfold. But she had some appearances on some publications that we're going to talk about. And very talented, very cool, very in tune with what she wants to be and what she wants to become and what she's doing. Yeah. And it's nice to hear an artist who isn't attached to a label that has a plan.
Right.
So,
a very genuine sound.
Super genuine. Yeah. Super genuine. So we have some info for you, right? So we're on some services now. We're on iTunes, Google Play. Yeah,
we're on Stitcher as well. So pretty much anything that you listen to your podcast on, you can get us on. We're also on SoundCloud, obviously. Mm-hmm. You can download us. Please subscribe, leave comments, give us feedback, let us know what we're doing great, what we suck at.
If you hate my stupid voice, let me know.
Yeah, and who you want to see us talking to. Mm-hmm. And also have a little bit of a promo code.
Yep.
Lift.
Very important. LYFT. Don't they have a mustache on the front? Is that what their deal is?
I don't think so.
No.
Do they?
Maybe I'm confusing them.
Oh.
No, they don't have a mustache.
It'd be cool if maybe they should add a mustache.
It would be cool.
But yeah, we have a promo code for the podcast. It's branded BRNDD. $50 ride credit. Use that, ride your life away.
Yeah, you can go many places, round trip.
Yeah.
That means that you can go to your favorite place, get a pizza pie.
Just get the pizza.
And get right back home for free. So do it. Yeah. Brand it. Tell people about the code. It'll help you and it'll also help us.
Spread the word. Don't tell them just about the promo code. Tell them about the podcast too.
That would be real messed up if they just give it codes.
Yeah, right.
Like, I know these two jerks that have a podcast. Here's a code for a lift anyway. Forget the podcast.
Yeah, just get your free rides.
Just promo code. But yeah, thanks for listening to the podcast. I think you're going to enjoy this one. Like you enjoyed the first one. And I feel like you and I are coming into this rhythm, man. We got this no-look passes. We're doing all sorts of things. Alley-oops.
Yeah.
Donte and I are on this run. And I'm glad that you guys are a part of it. So
let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Episode 2. It's your host, Donte Cotton.
Branded. I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
Look, we've a beautiful start.
Yeah.
The feedback's been amazing for the first episode. And the prequels, I feel like we're like Star Wars in this. Several prequels.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really nice. Yeah. I appreciate the feedback. We're now on iTunes, Google Play.
Stitcher.
Look, we made it.
We did.
I feel like I should get one gold tooth. We should both get one gold tooth.
To
celebrate.
Shopper ranks?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Just feels really good. I feel like that's a celebratory. When I was younger, that's what my uncle, he was like, yeah, I got my tax check. He got one gold tooth. I don't know what that was for, but
just a single gold tooth. That was the goal.
Right.
That should be planned. Right. All right. Well, you forgot to introduce yourself. So.
My name is Ronald.
Yeah.
I like going in hot like that, though. I like to surprise
straight into the track.
Angles.
Yeah.
And who are you?
Oh, I'm Donte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Donte the Great. You forgot the
Great. That's what we're adding to it now.
You got to aim high, man.
Yeah. I'll let you do this introduction.
Okay. So this next guest that we have, episode 2, is one of my favorite people in the world. singer, songwriter, creative, self-promoter, Beya Likhari.
Hi.
Super cool. So we met a couple years ago.
More than a couple years ago.
Forever ago. Yeah, forever ago. At the fruit stand. We were working at the fruit stand together.
Okay.
And I just gravitated towards her because we had a bunch in common. We just like good music. And what turned into kind of a love for music turned into you going out on your own and creating original music. And I produced a couple of things for you, like 2 tracks or something like that.
Yeah, long time
and then
ago.
It's your situations kind of blossomed into a beautiful situation, and it's cool to watch it grow, and I would love to talk about it. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. This is really exciting.
Oh, cool. So tell me about who you are. How old are you? How did you start singing?
I've been singing since I was 6. I am a choir nerd, so growing up, music was just always like a consistent thing for me. Mm-hmm. Outside of school, I was part of a choir and I sang with them for 5 years. And when I was in middle school, I applied to a magnet school, and over there is where I started singing in the choir at school and stopped singing in the choir outside of school. So that was for 4 years, and we played at competitions. We went to Hershey Park, played at music in the parks, like all this stuff. And then when I got to high school, I applied to sing in concert choir, and for 4 years over there, it was more of like a concentrated music experience. We were singing Mozart and like really crazy stuff. Oh, wow. So when I got to college, there wasn't really a regimented music program that I was a part of. Mm-hmm. And I made a friend like the first day of like orientation, and we were just talking about music, and he told me, he was like, yeah, you know, I write songs. And I was like, really? Like, it was just a shock to me because I was so used to writing, or not writing, but singing to music that was already written. And this guy is out here just writing songs, you know, like I've written poetry and all of that since I was really young, but I never really shared it with anyone. So when I was talking to him about it, you know, it was just really intriguing. So we were in the dorms one day, and I went over and we I watched him record a song, and like I was helping him record a song, and I was like, this is really cool. Like, how have I not done this, you know? Yeah. So then I got my own microphone, and I was at home one day, and this was like a little Logitech headphone at the time. And I just started recording stuff on my computer, and then I started writing stuff, and I had made another friend at that orientation, and I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, I know you have access to the studio. Like, I have some stuff I wrote, and I want to record it. So over winter break, I recorded it, and it was just like a project I did for me. It wasn't like all of the stuff I had done for music was never like, oh yeah, like I sing and like I do this and I do that. It was just like for me, right? It's still a very private thing, I think. But after recording that project with my friend, I started sending the project out to some of my friends just so they could, I don't know, I just wanted to share it with them, the people closest to me. And then the next thing you know, they were like, you need to put it online. And I was like, no, I'm not going to put this online. Like, I don't think I'm ready to put this online. And then I put it online, and then I had a presence online, and then I just kept writing stuff, and then A Drop of Ether came out, and then Love Letters from Lola, and then all the singles in between that, and now it's like a thing.
So when I met you, you were kind of at a crossroads where you were making stuff, but you didn't put it out. What convinced you to take everything that you had been working on and kind of share it with the world? Because that's a big step, right? Yeah. Especially considering prior to that you hadn't done that, especially original stuff.
Right. I really think that I put it out because my friends really encouraged me to, and I felt that support, and I was just like, you know what, just put it out and just see what happens. I don't think at that point I really wanted to make music like a career, because at that time I was working and it was just something fun that I had just started doing. And in the back of my mind, I was like, this is like really fun and I could do this, but like, how will I do this if I do it? And it was just one thing I did. Like, I didn't even know if I could do more than that. So it was still too new for me, but I just decided to put it out, and people heard it, people found it, and the response was really cool. And I was just like, okay, let me just keep trying. Let me find some beats to write to and just see where it goes. It doesn't mean I have to stop what I'm doing or even tell people about it. It's still going to be online.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, go ahead. You done?
No, you can.
So I was thinking about kind of the platforms that you've chosen, and to say that you have a little bit of a following is an understatement, right? Because I think about how long have you been singing? Let's quantify this. How long have you been singing? How long have you been putting your music out there to the public?
Okay. I think like a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, a year and a half, 2 years. And there's something to the way that you market. You're a marketing major, right?
Economics major.
Economics major. But you have some marketing. Yeah. You have some marketing background, right? Then you interned in
like data.
Right. So this is really interesting because we have a lot of artists. We talk to a lot of artists. We all know a lot of artists.
Right.
How did you harness the skill set that you have, but also make yourself a marketable person? Because those are two different things. I know a ton of people that can play basketball that aren't in the NBA, but I also know like a ton of people that can sing that have no online presence. How did you learn or kind of gather? Because it's a lot to look at the internet and take from it the important things that you need to make yourself marketable. How did you gather all that information?
I think I've just always been that nerdy kid that always looked at bigger companies and saw what they were doing, and just like on my own time researched how they're doing it and their online strategy. And I don't know how I became exposed to this, but that's just always been my thing. Yeah. So watching bigger companies do the same thing that influencers do to get their following up and to just have a presence, I just observed that and then tried to apply it to creating my own brand.
Right.
And I also worked in an agency sort of setting for a little while, so I had like some experience seeing how they approach issues and how they develop their own strategy. And then from all of that, I just looked at what I wanted to do and my goals and how I wanted to put myself out there and make sure it's still me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what was the first thing that you put online that kind of got traction?
Rose Garden.
Okay.
I wrote this song called Rose Garden with a local producer from Baltimore that goes by U4, and that was the first song I put out that I actually like wrote. Probably the crazy, like at that time it was the craziest thing I'd ever written. And I was just sitting on it. I was like, I don't know.
What made it crazy?
It was just like lyrically, it was the hardest thing I'd ever written, but it was also like the most natural thing I'd ever written. I don't even know how to like explain it any more than that. It was just like, I was in my room and he sent me the beat and I was like, this is crazy. Like this beat doesn't have any sort of like downbeat. It's just a free flowing beat. So I can sort of create my own tempo to it. And I didn't want to like force a structure on it, but it ended up happening in a weird way anyway. And that was, I would say, like the first song where I was like, okay, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to keep putting music out now.
Okay. How would you describe your style if you were to, I mean, obviously you don't want to put yourself in a box, but how would you describe if someone were to say, well, well, you're going to sign our label, how would you describe your style?
I would say that it's a combination of like jazz and R&B, but with a more electronic feel in terms of the production. I would also say that it's nothing like that too, depending on like like what beats come my way and what I'm just thinking about at that time. It's hard to quantify what that is really. I don't really know how to explain it.
Yes, that's the cool part about the sounds that I've heard from you. They don't sound definitively one way, and that's good because it feels like there's space for just whatever you want it to be, and that's a cool thing. Now, with the traction that you've gained, talk about some of the benefits that have kind of come from it. So like you're in some stuff.
Yeah, I guess like the cool thing about when you're creating something that's purely your own is when people start to recognize your work and support it. I think this past week has just been crazy for me in that a lot of cool things have come out, and I guess sometimes we take for granted like the people that are really there to support us. Like I can be honest and say that sometimes when I'm focused on a project or I'm focused on, you know, working on something, I tend to just space everyone else out for that time so that I can really just get it done. Yeah. But the cool thing is once the project's done and you take that step back and you're like, wow, this is so cool. And then it's like, okay, now I have to figure out how I'm going to release it. And then it's like, okay, now it's released and now I can watch everyone react. And by then I'm just like, I'm over this. Like I'm over it. But watching people react and like having them be excited for me and the little words of encouragement really, I feel like, mean a lot to me. And I am super grateful that I have that support system.
Yeah. So are there any like accolades that you got recently that you like felt really proud of that you never thought you'd get?
Yeah. Elle UK recently featured me in their culture collective for R&B artists to keep an eye on in their print edition. So that's really crazy. Yeah, I never thought I'd be in a magazine like this soon, I guess you could say, but it's been really cool to see that. It's not even out here yet. Like a friend of mine in London has it and he took a photo of it and sent it to me, but I'm still waiting for it to become available here.
Wow. I purchased a digital copy to support two digital copies. So I know that more recently you've been getting into the performance aspect of it, right? How's that been? You know, because you're at home making the music, putting it out to the world, getting the feedback, but now you're out in the world looking at people face to face and just singing. I do stand up, so I know kind of that feedback. How's that feel now?
It's so awkward. I mean, when I first started performing in the area, it was the most awkward thing. And I think when I was making music, I was so focused on like making it that I didn't even, like, I guess at some point I thought I'd have to perform, but I didn't, I don't know. I just didn't really think about it. And then I started getting booked for shows, and then I was like, oh my God, I have to go on stage and I have to like sing these songs. And like, they're my songs. I'm going to sing them, but like, it's always awkward when you're up there and everyone's like looking at you and you have to perform, you know, you have to, that is your marketing, that is your brand, that is your work, you know, and I take stuff like that very seriously. So it was nerve-wracking. I think now, because in the past year I've been playing shows like once or twice a month, I mean, it's gotten to be a lot easier. It's still challenging for me. I'm still learning about myself as I'm singing live, but it's definitely a million times better than it was when I first started. And I still have so much to learn, but it's been fun. It's been fun to just get up there now. Like, I just had a show on, what is today? On Friday. And I think that show and the show before it were really like telling to me, just because I kind of realized, okay, I can do this. Now I can just like take it easy, not take it easy, but like not be so stressed out before the show.
That's good. That's definitely good. Because I mean, I think it's important, obviously, to develop and keep it in mind that, you know, you're forever growing, and it doesn't stop. I don't think it ever stops. But okay, so something interesting is coming out of this too. So obviously a performer, obviously a songwriter, but also get into the fashion aspect of it, right? So you can't tell through listening to this, but Beya is a tall, beautiful woman, right? So that is feeding into kind of the coolness of who she is anyway. She can sing her ass off, but also has a really cool look to her. Yeah. That's kind of picking up some traction too. So talk about that stuff.
I think that my feelings towards that are the same as performing live. It's weird when people call attention to things that you just normally do.
Right. Yeah.
I am learning to just continue to do what I'm doing, but it is weird. And I don't even know where it'll go. But I will say that working on visual projects definitely helped give me the confidence on stage, and is definitely helping build my confidence musically too. It's weird. I never anticipated that happening, but I would say that forcing myself to like lean into that discomfort of like being photographed and shoot like whatever it is, like that has definitely helped me a lot, more than I thought it would.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
So you feel like as you progress, you're gonna have more hands-on experience and knowledge and kind of strength to put everything together yourself, from, let's say, you do album covers to, you know, how you perform, how you dress when you perform, and the visual aspect as that goes along with the music?
I am learning that it's important to have a team, and I'm learning that I can't do everything on my own, and that's like a very big thing for me because I've done everything on my own. Like Ronald knows this. Like but it's at a certain point it becomes inefficient. So I have people that I work with for different things, and I'm gonna continue to do that. And just, I mean, the good thing is that now that I've established myself a little bit, I can reach out to people and see if they're interested in working on things. Yeah. So yeah, who knows what'll happen now? It's just a matter of, I don't know, time, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So if you follow Beya on Instagram, you will see that she travels quite a bit. And one of the places that you travel pretty frequently is India. Talk about that.
I've been going to India since I was really little. My grandparents live there. So my parents came over from India like years and years and years ago. So when I was younger, my mom used to always take my sister and I to India once every other year.
Cool.
To see them. So as we've gotten older, it's just been cool to live here, but also have that experience of being abroad and experiencing my own culture and seeing my own family. And it really just gives, I mean, traveling in general, I think just gives you perspective, right? Like I'm fortunate that my parents really like traveling. So when we were younger, we used to go to some really cool places. And I feel like in my adult life, you're not able to do that as much now, just because you're an adult and you have things to do. But yeah, I love traveling. I love traveling.
Yeah, get you prepared for touring and stuff like that. Yeah. That's really cool.
So have those experiences influenced your music in any way, your sound?
I would say so. I grew up listening to old school Bollywood music and and like ghazals and like Sufi type sounding music. And then my mom, she was really into country music when I was younger. So like I went to school, like when she would drop us off, like we would listen to country music on the way. And my dad really likes the Eagles, so we would listen to that and just like really random stuff. And like now that I look back on it, like it makes sense. Like it makes sense that I sound the way I do because of like all the stuff that I grew up listening to. Yeah. It's pretty cool to
So how are your parents? How your parents feel about what you're doing? Especially since you like, you know, parents have an idea of what they want you to do. My mom had an idea of what she wanted me to do. My dad had an idea of what they wanted me to do. So how is it versus what you're doing now, and how are they receiving all the exposure that you're getting? How's that been going?
My parents are so supportive of what I'm doing.
That's incredible.
Which is crazy because when I talked to my dad and I was like, look, I want to try and do this. And I had like a list of things of like reasons why, like, Dad, like, you should let me do this because this, and this. And he was just like, okay. And I'm like, what? Like, I was ready to like fight to the end. And he was just like, yeah, I think you should do it. Like, we support you, like, do it. And I honestly, all that I've achieved is really because of them and them just believing that I can do it and supporting it to the end.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's dope. I was thinking about when the first time I heard a song from you and how I felt, because I'd always said, "Oh, you got to do it."
Yeah.
I was like one of the people that was like yelling in your ear about it.
Yeah.
And seeing how it's all come along. So musically right now, what are you listening to?
That new Travis Scott.
Do you like it?
I really like it.
So you like that? His stuff is like melodic and kind of off kilter. Would you do music over kind of Travis Scott sort of stuff?
I think I would.
Yeah. Yeah. It sound good over that stuff.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah. All right. So if you had a dream team of producers, if you could
don't ask me that.
Your first
don't ask me that.
LP, or at least give me like 2 or 3 people that you'd want to work with, and give me 3. I know that you can't give me a whole ton. Just 3 producers off the top of your head. You're like, I want to work with these people.
Okay. I really want to work with Dr. Zeus. He's Punjabi. He's a producer in the Indian music scene. He's like, I grew up listening to him, and I would love to work with him. I really want to work with A.R. too. He's another just genius in the Indian Bollywood space, and I really want to work with Kanye, like, really bad, but that's like so obvious. But I'm trying to think of a better one. I really like D-Pat. Have you heard of D-Pat?
No.
He's produced for The Weeknd before.
Okay. He's
working with some other artists now, but he's really low key, but his stuff is really cool. I would love to work with him.
Yeah, I remember you kind of championing Weeknd. And
still am a championer.
Yeah. And I think that would be great collaboration, you and him.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. So Donte, what's on your mind? What you think about, man?
Honestly, like, when I first listened to your music, your voice is what hit me the most because it's really powerful. You know, just listening to the different tracks and just hearing those sounds, like, you have a lot of different influences. I feel like there's like some hip hop R&B type influences there. One of the tracks that I listened to, Throw Up, kind of like the sound of it kind of reminded me like of the Roots, like as far as the instrumentation of it. And I thought that was really cool. And then the other tracks kind of like Love Letter, and that was kind of like more of a slowed down R&B. So you have some different lanes that you can play in. I think that's really cool. Is there anything that you gravitate to as far as your songs that you pick, the beats?
I'm like a beat freak. I don't know where this came from, but ever since I was younger, I've always loved instrumentation. I don't know, like, when I was in high school, I experimented with producing a little bit, but I never really got it, but I knew what I liked.
Yeah.
And I think because growing up, I didn't really listen to like rap that much or R&B that much. When I got older and I started listening to stuff, I was like, wow, like this beat is sick. Like I gravitated towards loops.
Okay.
But that's like good and bad just because it's hard to structure and it's hard to sing on depending on the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like a good bass line. I'm like a sucker for a good bass line.
What were some tracks that actually influenced that, if you have any in mind, that kind of gave you that I love loops feel?
Definitely Baltimore club music.
Okay.
I would also say that listening to like Punjabi music a lot, the bass in that, and it's not necessarily loops, but it's really intricate instrumentation a lot of times. Especially, I mean, old school Bollywood music is also like that. So in retrospect, it makes sense now that you ask that.
So have you had an opportunity to sing with some live instrumentation yet? Like
Not yet.
Right.
It's kind of hard right now just because maintaining a band is a lot.
Yes.
But it's not something I'm opposed to. It's something that I'm sort of working towards right now. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
As far as the projects that you put out, do you have a favorite at the moment?
I really like Love Letters from Lola a lot. I think that project came out at the right time for me, and I think it was created at the right time for me to really just, one, express what I was feeling at the time, and two, just have something solid to perform live. I have a lot of fun like singing that live. I also really like Love Bug.
Okay.
I really like Love Bug. I think Love Bug was like an attempt to just experiment with something new that I like, a newer sound that I had never really, one, had beats that sounded like that, and two, I'd never written anything like that. So it was an experiment all around.
Okay.
So I really do like that song.
And then I was going through and I see stuff tagged acid R&B. Is that something that you coined, or where that
I kind of coined it.
So it's like acid rap, but acid R&B.
But it's also like acid jazz. Like acid jazz is a thing too. So acid R&B being basically what I told you as like jazz and hip hop and electronic fused with R&B. But I don't even know if that's like, I feel like there's another term out there for that already. I don't know.
I haven't heard too many things
I'm weird
like
about terms like that.
Right.
It's just weird.
It sounds like defining, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's something really cool about you having an idea of what you want some of your stuff to sound like, and kind of defining it through a term, because it can be yours. It can be yours. I don't know if I've ever heard a combination of all of those genres fused together with the influence that you have. So I mean, it's really cool that you coined that term, and that's really cool that he noticed that. That's.
And then even the song like Ballet, that even had some cultural influences. I like Spanish. And do you speak any other languages?
Yeah, I speak Spanish a little bit. I speak Hindi and Punjabi too. So I don't know. Ballet was a weird song when I wrote it. That just like came out. I don't know where that came from, but it just came out as I was recording, and I was like, oh my! Like I had the mic on and I was singing it, and I was like, oh my god! Like this is cool. Like I don't want to mess up the recording, so I just kept singing, and then after I was like, oh my god, what did I just do? Like that's so cool. And then I just turned off my computer and sat on it for like 2 days, and then went back. And
that was probably my favorite that I've listened to.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. When you sing, when you write, what's your process? Because I've heard sometimes you'll hear stuff like reference tracks, right? So I'll hear like Kanye reference tracks, and he just mumbles. He mumbles like, and then he'll fill it in with words.
I do that too.
You do that too?
I think that's like a thing. Some people just do that just so they can feel the beat. Like I catch myself doing it sometimes too, but for me, it becomes harder to put words to it because then the humming gets stuck in my head. I don't know how to explain it. It's just really strange. But a lot of times I'll write stuff in sections. Sometimes I'll just have an idea and I'll write it down and look at it later. A lot of times I'm just singing a cappellas and then I have to find beats to fit it, but that hasn't really worked out well yet. It just depends.
Gotcha.
It just depends.
Yeah. When you do that, you feel like it's easier to memorize the songs or, you know, help you perform it because you have that rhythm and the cadence in your head already?
What do you mean?
Like if you start with the humming and then you try to add the words to it, does it help you remember the words easier or does it affect it?
I think that by the time I've like recorded a song, there's no way I can forget what I've done. Just because I've practiced it like 1,000 times. It's like one time I performed and it was like one of my first shows and I forgot a verse of a song. But no one knew that I forgot the verse. But on stage, I was like trying not to like facially react that I like messed up. Like I completely forgot like 3 lines. That was really bad. But like in terms of, I think that was just like a stage fright thing.
Yeah.
I don't usually forget.
Okay. So do you have a place that you feel more comfortable performing in yet?
I really like Metro Gallery in Baltimore.
Oh yeah. That's a good space.
I really like that space.
It's a really good space.
I don't know. It's intimate and the sound is really good, and it's not so huge that like it forces people to pay attention when you're there. Yeah.
So what's next musically for you? You have anything planned? You working on some new music?
Always working on things. I'm just trying to take this time to see where my mood is and what I want to write and looking for some production. And I've been traveling like all summer, so now that I'm back, I'm just gonna take that time and see what I'm feeling.
Okay,
that's good. Yeah.
As far as like social media, have you gotten any crazy reactions from anybody or, you know, any responses that surprised you?
I guess going back to what I said about just friends that I've known and I don't necessarily keep in touch with on like a daily basis, just reaching out and just being like, man, like we're really proud of you. And like that, I don't know. I was just overwhelmed this whole week. I was just really honestly overwhelmed with the love and support. So I think that is like the most important thing to me that happened so far.
Yeah. Cool. And it seems like you have a lot of things as far as art in general that you like to touch on. You know, you spoke that you have some fashion things that you like to do and some visual things. Is there anything else that you feel comes natural to you that you just, you know, do and then other people recognize it? I
would say that people are starting to recognize how I write my songs.
Okay. Which
is cool. Yeah. And I never I think that was like the one thing I overlooked was that people actually realize, like, know my writing style a little bit. Mm. So that's been fun because now I can just, when I write stuff now, I'm just gonna like write it for those people that like pay attention to like what I'm saying, you know. Right. Not to say that everyone doesn't, because I think it's like the cool thing about music is everyone can listen to it and get something different out of it. But now I just know that people recognize the style, especially like Bad Dream. When Bad Dream came out, I was really hesitant to put that out because it was so different. It was so lyrical and it was so, I don't even know. Yeah. I don't even know where that came from. But like when I put that out, like the response from that, I was like, okay, so now I can like experiment with like, you know, words a little bit and play around with them. So the stuff that you put out, does anything link up or tell a story, or are you putting parts out? Do you have anything hidden in your music that we may not know about? No, I don't think so. Okay. I think every song is like a story in its own way. And every project is like a bigger story in its own way. Okay. Yeah.
It seems like you put art just as you put the art forward as much as the music. So like So how did this start? Because I'll see covers and I'm like, where the hell did you get this artist did this cover? Yeah. It looks really cool. So
I don't know. Like my family is really artistic in different ways. Like my dad's really into Indian art. So I grew up looking at that. And I'm just like a visual person anyway. And my mom had us in art classes when we were really young. So I think from that and just wanting everything to, like my visuals which are like my album artwork.
Right.
For my songs, I just wanted it all to tie in together.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be something really cool to look at and also something cool to listen to.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm glad that, I can sketch out something and I can, reach out to people online that illustrate and just be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can you do it? And then they just bless me with the art.
Right.
So where do the titles for your projects come from?
I mean, like a lot of times what happened with a drop of ether, the thing is that I never really like pay attention to those things enough to like explain them.
Mm.
It's a really weird like artist thing, I think. Like when I was writing A Drop of Ether, it was 4 tracks. I wanted to put it out at the end of the summer, and that name just sort of came to me. I don't know. Mm. I was just thinking like, you know what, it would be cool if I could just have like a little raindrop and have like a drop of ether in it, because this is just something so small that I feel like that would depict it really well. Yeah. And then for Love Letters from Lola, like that was like a series of 4 love letters. Okay. And so then I wanted the artwork for that to be 4 letters, and I released each song like for an entire month, like once every week.
That's dope.
Yeah. So it all had like a bigger theme, but it was still like enough to keep people like interested.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from, because I do some visual art stuff, and I kind of don't have a title until I just look at the piece and something comes to the mind. Like it's either a reference point that I use to create it, or I look at it and just something sticks out, and that's what I want to call it. Like nothing is like too out there. It's just something that it just happens.
I super weird, but it kind of reminds me of, because I know you like streetwear a little bit. The way that you release things, the way that you handle things, almost reminds me of like a streetwear line. I know that sounds weird, like a limited edition Stussy piece or something like it. You have that same. It's almost like you read those amazing blogs like Highest Nobody and soaked up some of the game from that, and soaked up some of the game of like your marketing. And
that's really interesting. I never thought.
Yeah, it's nuts. I was thinking about it when Love Letters to Lola came out, from Lola. When that came out, it reminded me of like an exclusive drop. It reminded me of, it's almost
I'm
like,
glad to hear that. That makes me happy.
And the fact that it has that, it brought that feeling to me. The fact that I was looking forward to it is kind of cool. And it almost feels like there's some crossover, whether you realize it or not.
Maybe, I don't
that's
know.
affected, you just like cool shit, and it comes across, you know what I mean? I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah. And then on that note, I only saw 1 track up from Amplifiers and Vampires. Did you take that down, or is it somewhere that we can find?
I had to take it down because a lot of those beats were like rap beats. Okay. That were like from D12, and one was from an Amy Winehouse song that I had slowed down, and I just didn't want to get a strike on my account, so I just took it all down. Word. Except for Breakfast. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of, I don't know, maybe I'll redo that project and re-release it, because I would love to do that.
That'd be dope.
That would be, it's on a list somewhere in my room of like things I want to do.
Right.
I think that would be dope. Because I'm a big fan of Kid Cudi, and like I have all his music, and then a couple years ago, his like first mixtape ever that leaked, and I didn't like too many other tracks. It was one that really stuck out to me, but I thought that was cool just to kind of hear his progression and see his starting point, and then see what it turned into, because I could hear certain things that I picked up on that turned into his music later on. So
A Kid Named Cudi is, that mixtape is perfection. Like up and down. Yeah. One of the best mixtapes I've ever heard in my life. And
it changed my life.
Yeah. It's one of those pieces of music. Have you heard it before?
I have heard it a long time ago.
Re-listen to it. It holds up in a way that I've never. Yeah. It had Wale on it at a time where like Wale was like just DC known.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's still very DMV.
Before Mark Ronson kind of took him under his wing. It was kind of around that time where it first started. It's perfection. It's so good. How do you feel about collaborating with rappers Do you see yourself doing that in the future? Like if you had like a thing, like not like a little B, but like if you had something and somebody was like, I have an idea for a couple of tracks, would you help someone?
I'd definitely be open to it. I think right now though, the most important thing for me is to just establish myself without that.
Okay.
That's not to say that if someone needed like a verse or something that I wouldn't do it. But to me right now, it's kind of like a crucial time where I have to just take this use this momentum to really establish myself, and I feel like I need to do that before I can really help anyone else.
As far as the business side, a lot of people are staying independent as far as the rap goes. Do you think you would take that approach, or would you want to sign to somebody if it came to that point?
It's too early to say right now, I think. Okay. I go back and forth about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not impossible that somebody's going to approach you at some point, because you're in LUK. People see your face, you know what I mean? Like, I got to be honest, it's kind of incredible that you have this idea in your head of how you want to establish yourself, and it doesn't involve hanging on the coattail of anybody else. But that, I know you, so I know that where that comes from. That just, you've always been like that. So it's cool to see it happening, it kind of turning into a real thing, and seeing, it's all you. It's propelled by you. You find the beats, you find the places, you respond to the places yourself. I mean, and I understand you have a team, but you can tell that it's propelled by you, and that's really cool. What's your interaction with people, like fans and stuff like that? Has that happened yet? Have you had anybody reach out?
Well, one time I was playing a show in the city, and I was just sitting and listening to the people playing. Yeah. And I was like in the back, right? So I was just sitting down, and someone like came up and was like, "Yours sounds about right." And I'm like, yeah, I am. And he's like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Like, I'm a really big fan of your music. And I think in that moment, I was just like, oh my God, like, this is wild. Like, this, I don't know how to describe the feeling, but it's a really nice feeling when people can relate to your music and show love.
Right. It won't stop.
People that you don't even know.
Right. Super weird. Kind of related to something like that. I was in New York for an audition. It went terribly wrong. It was terrible. But I was at the Cellar, and I saw this comic, and he recognized me from a show that I was in. I was like, we're in New York. How do you? Yeah, right. Know who I am? He didn't know my name, but he knew my face. He was like, "You were funny. I recognize your face." And that's nuts. And I think it's gonna keep happening for you. That's really cool. You out here, as they say in the streets. Cool. So, social media, where can you be reached?
Oh, I can be reached at SoundsBoutRite, WRITE, on Twitter and Instagram. And then on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Beya, BEYA -LIKHARI.
Cool. So I feel like we have a question. We have a couple questions towards the end, right?
Well, we kind of do like a favorites thing. So we ask you some of your favorite things and kind of give us a response. Okay. Sorry, we didn't prepare you for that. You guys just like
sprung this on me.
Yeah, right. Apologize. I apologize.
You have a favorite song right now?
Goosebumps.
Okay.
By Travis Scott.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a good song.
That's such a good song.
That's a good song. Yeah. Travis Scott question. His first one or his second one? Which one do you like better?
I like both of them for different reasons.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like seeing what he's been able to do.
Yeah. I think they're more singles on the first one.
Yeah.
And the second one has more of like, the issue is, because he was creating a sound for Kanye kind of sounds like him. Yeah. He kind of sounds like Kanye. Yeah. And Kanye does a better version of him in a way.
Yeah, and that was the thing I said on his first project. I was like, a lot of the tracks, whoever he had on the track, it kind of like he was playing off them, not like he they were playing off him on his track. So I think he's finding his way more as time goes on.
It's interesting to listen to the growth, and everything that he's on is kind of nuts. It's so. All right.
Do you have a favorite place to write?
Honestly, I like writing in my room a lot.
Okay.
Just because it's my space.
Yeah.
I like writing outside too, but sometimes it's just really distracting.
Yeah.
So I would say like my room.
Okay.
Cool. We talked about. All right. What's your if you were to have one album on an island and start to finish, what is one album that you can listen to without stopping anything, without skipping or anything?
Oh my gosh. Black Star.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't understand how much that makes me happy. That makes me super happy.
I go back to the album like once a month.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Channel Orange.
Oh, that's
Channel
a good
Orange
one
is a
too.
non-stop. Like,
I like that.
I hated the album when I first heard it.
Dang, that's a good one too.
Non-stop.
Yeah.
What about you?
I want to say Man on the Moon.
Okay.
I think I
That's a
listen to
solid
that
one.
front to back.
That's a really good album.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
did you tell her about the branded 10?
okay. All right. Yeah. So, I did a little bit, but let me reiterate. So we have a companion piece that goes with the podcast called The Branded 10, where we ask every guest to give a 10-song playlist that we will include on our Spotify page.
Okay.
And we'll also have it in like the body of the podcast description and stuff like that. So before this releases, we need you to make a 10-song playlist of, it doesn't even have to be your greatest songs of all time, stuff that's the greatest to you, but basically where your mind is right now.
How you
Okay.
feeling?
Yeah, how you feeling?
Okay.
And we'd like you to submit that to us.
Okay, cool.
Your
Yeah, I'll do
homework.
that.
Yeah, so it makes it extends the brand a little bit. You know, you listen to the podcast, you're like, oh, Beya's amazing. What kind of music is she listening to? And it kind of lends itself to help the listener understand further your musical taste. So
Cool.
that is
I'm
your
excited to do
homework.
that.
But yeah,
I think the list that we got last week was
Nuts.
really good. And
nuts.
it was
We'll
a lot
send
of
you the
Okay.
one from the first guy, Jordan Jackson. Cool dude. He's a designer at Under Armour.
Oh, okay.
They're high-end stuff, too. He's doing the lifestyle products.
Yeah.
He used to work at Armani Exchange, and then it kind of turned into... So when you think of...
The Pursuit line. That's what
Yeah,
he's
the Pursuit
like
line.
most
They're
recently.
Oh.
streetwear stuff that they're trying to put... The high-end stuff, the pieces that are like...
That's so fun.
It's nuts. It's nuts. You got to see the stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, he's behind that stuff. And I remember specifically like a couple years ago when he was like making stuff for Steph Curry when he first got signed. It looked incredible, but some of that stuff was made specifically for Steph, so like you didn't see it, but I'd see it on him. I'm like, man, you're killing it. and seeing pieces like it was weird because when you see somebody making stuff years before it comes out,
Oh yeah. Then you know.
yeah, and then like 2 years later, you're like, oh, that's the piece that he did that they altered a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, he talked about that a little bit too on that last episode.
Yeah.
So I think that was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. And this is amazing too. Thank you for stopping by.
I really
One more
appreciate
time.
it.
No, thank you so much for having me, guys. This is really
Yeah,
cool.
it's incredible. Reiterate one more time your social media stuff.
Sure.
where you can reach us.
Twitter and Instagram sounds about WRITE.
Cool.
Yeah, and as far as us, Debonair Material houses everything, so you can find it on Twitter at Deb Material, DEB Material. Everything else, so Facebook, Instagram.
You have a Facebook group for the podcast.
Oh, we do. We have created that.
Yeah.
So that's out there.
It's branded podcast.
Okay.
So it's facebook.com/BRNDD Podcast. You can find the latest information.
Yeah.
If you use old social media.
Yeah, right. It's still really popular.
Yeah,
though.
and
Like,
Facebook,
a lot of people.
Facebook is a standard of communication,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna run out like a thing. Like it's not like Snapchat. Not not Snapchat, but you know what I mean. Like it's a permanent form of communication. People kind of need to get used to that.
Right.
But yeah, that's what you can.
I don't
find.
even know what to compare it to. I was trying to say like maybe like the telephone that's always
Yeah.
been
Right.
around.
It's like,
But I don't know. It's in its own space because it's not popular per se, but a lot of,
it's consistent. It's consistent.
I think
It's not a trend thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, if I want to talk to my cousin in North Carolina, I have to use Facebook. I can't call him.
Exactly.
He won't answer. If I want to talk to my friend in Korea right now that's teaching, that's the only way I can reach that person. So
I think it's the most universal.
Yeah, it's the most universal.
Yeah. And we do have an email for the podcast. It's BRNDD@debonairmaterial.com. So if you guys have any questions, guests that you want us to bring on, or anything like that, feedback, we appreciate it. Do that. SoundCloud, make sure you subscribe. Like we said earlier, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Leave us comments, subscribe, like, all that.
Yeah.
And I think we're out.
Yeah. Thank you for stopping by,
Thanks
Beya.
so much, guys.
Really appreciate it.
All right.